Hi everyone! In this video, we will solve a quadratic with factoring and the square root property. Solve r squared plus 8r plus 16 equals 36. The left side of this equation is a quadratic, and we can see that the first and the last term are perfect squares. This will follow the pattern of a perfect square trinomial. We can factor that by square rooting the first term and square rooting the last term, which gives us r and 4. Then if we take the sign of the middle term, we get a plus, and the whole binomial is squared. Just to double check that it is indeed a perfect square binomial, we multiply the two terms together, so we get 4r, and double it, so we will multiply it by 2. This gives us 8r, and that does indeed match the middle term, so we know we have correctly factored it. If you would like to double check that, you can multiply r plus 4 times r plus 4 using the FOILing method, just to double check that you do indeed get the left side of this equation and that we did correctly factor it. Since we know that we did correctly factor it, we'll go ahead and come over here, so we get r plus 4 quantity squared equals 36. Our goal to solving these equations is to isolate whatever is being squared, and in this case, it already is. And the point of that is that I can then square root the square on one side of the equation. Square rooting a square negates it, so I can cancel it out, leaving us with r plus 4. But whatever I do to the right side, I must also do, whatever I do to one side of the equation, I must also do to the other side. So I must also square root the right side. But whenever I square root a number, I get a positive and a negative, because a positive times a positive is positive, and a negative times a negative is also positive. So here we get plus or minus 6, because the square root of 36 is 6. Now we need to isolate the variable, but I have two solutions here. So we are going to break it into two equations. R plus 4 equals the positive 6, and r plus 4 equals the negative 6, and continue isolating the variable. To do that, we'll subtract 4 from both sides on both equations to isolate the r. On the left sides of the equation, the 4's will cancel, and we are left with r equals 6 minus 4 is 2, and r equals negative 6 minus 4 is negative 10. And then I can list these in ascending order, so r equals, the smallest one first is negative 10, comma 2, and we have our two solutions to our quadratic equation here by using the square root property, and we're all done.